Let's get it.
Oh yeah, I think it just put us live. 6 seconds. Said okay. Hey, good evening, everybody. Great to have you all back. Those who are been kind of in the waiting room, waiting for us to hit go live at 8 o'clock. We appreciate all of y'all folks for being here early, and then there'll be some folks who will join us a little bit later. If you're tuning in for the first time, we've had just some amazing conversations starting last week. This month alone is really on relationships. And so tonight we have an all-male panel. Last week we had an all-female panel. And if you missed that episode, you got to go watch the replay. Dr. Chris Marsh, Nicole Yancey, Danielle Germain, they just did an amazing job. I mean, I went back and watched the replay. I mean, it was really, 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 really good. So y'all want to tune in. But this week we got the gentleman on. The theme of tonight is a conversation with Black men on sex, dating, and relationships. And I thought this was super important. I had kind of been thinking about how we wanted to frame tonight. And I thought about how there's a lot of books out there on dating, relationships, marriage, love, and sex. But most of those books are written by white authors who have white experiences. And so I thought tonight was super important because there are some cultural differences amongst Black men. And we don't always see ourselves in those books. And if the men are honest on the call tonight, the way that social media portrays Black men and is not in a positive light. So similar to how we've been told we have to work twice as hard on our jobs and in our careers than everybody else, I kind of feel like that spills over into our relationships as well. So we'll dive into a little bit of that tonight. But I want to introduce our esteemed panel really quickly. We'll start from the bottom and go up. Reggie Abreu, Dom Dixon, Dr. Staples, it's great to have you all on tonight. We were just kind of in the back room talking about how this is full circle. We all have been connected at some point over the years. And so tonight's going to be even more amazing, I think, because we've all have a way of kind of knowing one another and times before tonight. So I want each of you just kind of introduce yourselves really briefly. I don't like to read the bios because the bios never really tell the story. So you guys tell the story really quickly, then we'll go right into the questions.
All right, let's Reggie, you up first.
Yeah, Reggie, and Lamar.
All right, so my name is Reggie Abreu, 36 years young, born and raised in New York, in the Bronx. I'm currently a wellness entrepreneur, so I help people with their health and fitness goals, and I've been married for a year.
Awesome.
Thanks, Greg.
Dom Dixon, born and raised in Morgantown, West Virginia, 29 years old. I am also a fitness professional. I've been helping people for the last 6 to 7 years. Love what I do. In a young relationship now. I'm just loving the blessings and all the new findings that I'm having each and every day.
Cool. Thanks, Dom.
Hey, Pastor Walter Lamar Staples, senior pastor of Temple of Praise, Washington, D.C., born in Beckley, West Virginia. I wasn't quite with the fellas up in Morgantown and stuff. I was down on a little more countryer side, rural area. Been married 20 years. Thankful to God that He kept us and still moving forward. Well, I don't know what else y'all want me to say, but hey, it's me.
Yeah. I just realized when you said Beckley, the West Virginia connection. Dom was born in Morgantown, right, Dom?
Yeah.
Yeah, Reggie and I attended WVU, and Lamar, you were born in Beckley. I mean, but you also came to West Virginia University too. You played ball, and your brother played ball in Huntington, for a while too.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Yeah, Marshall. Yep.
Marshall.
So I ran all the way down through all that little stuff. We went through State, we went through Huntington, up through Morgantown. We had some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun tonight too. Okay, so let's go ahead and just dive right into it. Before I do, because I was just telling y'all gentlemen that I had just a special treat for y'all tonight. We do thank those who have been donating to our Village in Action web series. The donations have been coming in weekly. We do really, really appreciate all of you. And tonight we have a sponsor for this particular show. I just wanted to share the sponsor ad. Nicola Davis is the owner of a company called Exclusive Skin Whipped Body Butter. I have had the privilege of actually using the body butter with 5 different fragrances and fell in love and realized, well, I can't keep buying it because then I won't have enough. I'll have too much, right? So I'll stop at 5. But the gentlemen tonight on the show, each of them will be receiving their favorite fragrance whipped into a body butter in the mail. If you use this code OVIA, Our Village in Action, you will receive 10% off. I can vouch for this body butter, the best body butter I've ever had. So wanted to give a shout out to Nicola Davis. Thank you so much for sponsoring tonight's show. All right, gentlemen, let's get started.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll start with you, Dom, and then we'll just kind of work our way up. Dom, have you personally felt that you had to work twice as hard in dating relationships because of the negative stereotypes about Black men?
Oh yeah, that's most certainly. I think kind of to piggyback what you said about some of the books and authors that talk about, relationships, and you see yourself, you try to put yourself in the position of some of the lead characters and lead roles in those movies or stories, and it's hard because there's such a cookie cutter like layout, and you get in relationships and you have your history with people you've dated or your parents or people that you've seen before you, and you have this stigma of Black men aren't good enough, or Black men don't stay, and Black men aren't good fathers or husbands or whatever you may have it, and it's hard. It's kind of hard to come up through that upbringing of always waiting to let somebody down, and it's you try harder and harder each and every relationship you get into, hoping that the cobwebs of the first one doesn't backlash you and get you caught up. And it is hard. It is very, very hard. And I've experienced that even from a young age, being accepted from opposite parents, because of the color of my skin, and them not really, and that's interracial couples, being an interracial couple, having to deal with the stigma of Black men aren't good, or Black men are going to knock you up, or Black men will cheat, have multiple women, and it's hard to kind of navigate through that and be truthful and be loyal because of the stigma that we have.
Yeah. Don went straight in. Oh, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this tonight. No, seriously, we went straight in, man. I appreciate that. We do carry a lot of negative stereotypes entering into relationships. That's good, Don. Reggie, what about you?
For me, honestly, I feel like I did have some difficulty in dealing with relationships. I don't know if it was necessarily due to stereotypes, but more so, I didn't commit to my very first relationship until I was early 30s. So I'm 36 years young now. My first committed relationship was probably right 31, now with my wife, right? So I was avoiding commitment. I was avoiding relationships. So I think the work for me was more so the lack of experience, that I had no experience being in relationships. So now having to learn how to be a man in a relationship, how to operate, just dealing with it. That was something that I didn't have, experience in, because I was just trying to run the street and do my thing. And now once I was trying to slow myself down, it was like, it caught up with me, just not knowing how to deal with myself, how to be with a woman, commit, and all those different things. So I think that was the biggest difficulty for me, was just the lack of experience.
Yeah. And Lamar, I want you to answer that same question, but I want to just touch on something you just said, Reggie. Just being in the streets, right? That's a cultural term. We started the show by saying how there's cultural differences between, Black men and some of the other races. And I've never really heard white men talk about running the streets. And maybe they do, and they just use it in a different way, right? But the stereotype or the stigma that comes with Black men entering relationships is, if you're attractive, if you got a nice body, if you got a good job, if you have a good car, what's the stereotype? Oh, he's in the streets, right? Not that he could be an upstanding gentleman, but he's in the streets. Lamar, go ahead, tackle the same question. What do you think about the stigma or the stereotypes associated with Black men as they enter relationships?
Well, you guys just hit some real hard things right there. You're talking about the whole stereotypes of either growing up, living in the streets, and those things. See, my thing is this: I never associated with any type of stereotype. I got delivered from other people's opinion a long time ago, so I never really had a problem with any type of relationship I ever wanted to go into. So I never had a problem with that. I never looked at the color of my skin, because you got to remember, I grew up in a predominantly white area, so therefore I never had an issue with any of that, because I knew both sides. I knew how to walk into a store and be respectful, and then I knew how to take it to the street if I needed to. And then there are some fellas that are that are better than some of the folk that's supposed to be clean cut. That's in the streets. That's hustling. That'll be better for a relationship than some of those who, who are in the church, as we would even say. And all of that is based upon, their character.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I just feel like we still, as Black men, really just have a bad rap when it comes to just relationships in general. And maybe there's a question that just was posted in the comments about rap music. Maybe it's some of these like influences. Like when people look at rap music, they think about Black men. When they look at, sometimes fashion, you got big rims, you got expensive cars, you got jewelry. They think about Black men in particular. And I'm wondering if those stereotypes of us really cause people to either not, one, trust us, or two, not take us seriously. So Lamar, I hear what you say about how you always carry, relationships in a way where you trusted yourself. You didn't worry about other people's opinions. But I'm thinking about how other people view us.
I never cared. I got delivered from other people's opinions a long time ago. So I've never really cared about how anybody viewed me about any situation. Yeah. I never had a problem with that. I mean, if you're going to try to put me in a stereotypical a genre of, okay, maybe because, I used to drive a 2000 Navigator and I had big rims on that Joker and I had a sound system in it and I come riding down the street because it was clean, it's black. I still got it right now. But I pull up on you and then you just automatically think that I'm a hood rat or I am into gangster rap because that's what it looks like. But you don't know, I'm rocking Kirk Franklin or something. I might be having something else on my stereo. It may be loud, but that might not be who I am. Even at the same time that I had the rims and the car and all of that, I'm pulling up into a career at the United States Senate and into the government building offices with a full suit on every day. So I never really tried to allow somebody else's opinion to put me into a certain box because I like certain things.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. Now, Dom and Reggie, man, I know the three of us were super tatted. We got crazy tats. I'm sure Lamar probably got some hidden under, his sleeves and stuff.
I don't show mine.
So is. But I know the three of us, man, crazy tatted, and I know that I've had, people make assumptions about me because of my tattoos, specifically about relationships, right? And similar to Lamar, he pulled up and going to the Senate. I mean, as a college professor, when I step on campus, people think that I'm one of the students, right? Yeah. Or if they don't think I'm one of the students, they may think that I'm, work for the janitorial service. That I'm mopping floors or something. Nothing against that profession, but I just went to school and worked hard to get a degree. So, I mean, what do y'all think even about, your tattoos, man? Do you feel like your tattoos have made you have to work a little harder when it came to dating and relationships?
I think that if you like from a perspective standpoint, from some people, it is, you have to kind of like let them know that, this is an expression of who I am. I'm not labeled by my tattoos. And I think that a lot of people look at it, like, all right, he's got tattoos. They label you automatically. Even me, like I look at some men, I'm like, all right, he's got tattoos. He probably is a little more down to earth. He's probably a little more understanding. Like, it's because of what the label has been put on you as a person with tattoos, especially being a Black man with tattoos, because a lot of the Black men in our upbringing, a lot of people who had tattoos were ball players, rappers, some of the thugs, gangsters that you see. And it's like those people stick out more than the man like you who has a degree and he's a college professor who also has tattoos. So which one sticks out more is the guy who's a thug, the rapper, the ball player. So people automatically look at it like that. All right, that's what he has to be. But because that's all I know. So you do have to work a little bit harder to let your light shine just as bright as the people who are like rappers, thugs and whatnot. Not nothing against that. It's just, that's what's labeled. Nobody talks about the professor who has 3 or 4 degrees with tattoos and shows up. I don't want to be like him. I want to be like the rapper or the gangster. So that perspective and that persona, you have to almost outshine it so that you can show who you really are when it comes to relationships. Exactly. You have to work harder.
Yeah. Speaking of hard work, and Reggie, I want you to answer this one. Speaking of hard work, because I know that the four of us on this call, if there's four men in my life that, well, me included, that I feel work hard and be in the paint, morning, noon, and night. It's the four of us on this call. I mean, y'all's work ethic is crazy, and not only is it crazy, it inspires me. So when I look at y'all on Instagram or Facebook, or we have a phone call and I see how hard y'all going, I'm thinking, man, I gotta get back at it, right? So I feel like we motivate each other. But talking about hard work, when we did the relationship tour, Lamar and Reggie almost 10 years ago, John Gray's book was really popular, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Love Languages, Gary Chapman, like that was a very popular book, right? And I'm wondering, did you guys ever think that relationships would be as hard as it is? Like the work that is required to have a good, strong, healthy relationship. Did you ever imagine that it would take as much work as it actually takes?
Who want that one first?
I could take that one. So I'll say this. I grew up in a 2-parent household. I got to watch my adopted parents, be in their marriage until the age of, until 9th grade, until they, both passed away. So I got to see that image, and it was a beautiful image. It was something that I aspired for. But it's one thing to have the model, which is great, because if you can have the model, you can at least emulate it and have something to lay that foundation with. It's a whole nother thing to actually be in it.
Yeah.
No different than like business. Like I went to school for business and I read about business in books, but it's a totally different thing to actually run a business and be present with people and have different situations. So did I think it was going to be this much work? I wouldn't say I didn't think it'd be this much work, but it is a lot of work, right? And it's like continuous work. Like, it's like, if your woman loves gifts, it's like, just because you gave her a gift, 3 months ago, it's like, yo, you got to keep it consistent, right? If she loves acts of service and you took out the trash last week, if the trash is humming right now, like it doesn't matter that you took it out last week, right? But I think the main thing is being committed to the work. And, I'm pretty sure Dom and Lamar could both relate, because there's so many different areas in our life where that's work is required too. If you're running a business, it takes work to get it off the ground. And then it takes the same amount of work, if not more, to maintain it. But we're not satisfied with just maintaining something. We want it. I know my mindset, and I'm pretty sure you guys are the same. We want it to thrive. So that takes even the extra on top, right? Same thing with your health and fitness. It takes work to get it off the ground, and even more to take it to the next level. So I didn't know what was really all going to be entailed until I actually, was actually in it. But now being in a relationship, now being married, I'm committed to the work, and it's a lot of work. So you got to be ready to work. You got to fall in love with the process and fall in love with the work. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Lamar, you got 20 years in, bro. So, I mean, you got way more than all of us on the call. So talk about the work, man, because I love how Reggie said that, it's the work, but then it's also the maintenance. You just can't go off of what you did last week or last month. It's the consistent maintenance, man. So you got 20 years in, bro. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all gonna put me on the spot. All right, let's go. 20 years in. Listen, if you look at one of the books that you actually mentioned about the 5 love languages. If you start dealing with some of those things, the very first thing that we do inside of our honeymoon period is that we begin to learn each other's love language. And then after time, what a lot of people won't tell you, and inside of certain relationships, this is where the work comes in, is often depending on where you are, the love language will change. It depends on what has happened, your love language may change. Because at one point, it might have been physical touch, might have been your love language, but let a indecent proposal come about, and now that has entered into your relationship. So now the physical touch is no longer a part of the love language, and now it has changed into gifts or something else.
Right.
So now over 20 years of marriage, I mean, I can say this: the honeymoon period only lasts a short time. The honeymoon is the fun part. The honeymoon is the going out. The honeymoon is all of that, and we ain't even thinking about the trash. We walk right past the trash. Why? Because it's the honeymoon. Don't let one piece of paper be on the floor now. And it's a whole situation. It changes over time, and it takes hard work. Just like Reggie was saying about, if you own a business, man, it takes hard work. If you want to see it succeed, you have to put that time in to make it succeed, to make it work. It takes time. And Jay, I remember I just jotted this down. You said you ain't throw no shots or nothing like that about somebody walking in, you got your tats on looking like janitorial service. No, I ain't mad about none of that at all. I walk in looking the same exact way with a t-shirt and shorts on, but the difference is I'm the owner. And then I keep moving. So that's my part of it. It's like, hey, it takes work. I work and I strive to do this. So like I said, I don't care how they look at me, but at the end of the day, my check is different than yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Your check is different and your home is different, right?
I'm trying to say it.
Yeah, yeah. And Shamika, I appreciate the comment that you just put. People change throughout the years, and I think I just hit on something Lamar mentioned. Yeah. And Dr. Chris Marshall was on last week, sociologist at University of Maryland, incredible professor. She said that people normally go through 8 or 9 changes of evolution. They will evolve 8 to 9 times over the course of their life. And so when she redefined what it means to be a ride or die, because there's something about a Locks ride or die chick, right? Came out in the 90s. She redefined it last week by saying that a ride or die should be a person in your life who is sticking beside you through every time you evolve.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so powerful, man, because we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that as men, that we will go through these stages of evolution, and so will our partner. We'll all go through those stages. When we say I do, just like Lamar said in the honeymoon stage, sometimes I think we assume that it's always going to be like that. But Lamar, I'm glad you mentioned that's a very short time.
Oh no, honeymoon stages change, emotions change, genetics they change too. Hormones change. And let's look at it. In honeymoon season, oftentimes in honeymoon seasons, you can't get your hands off of one another. You're loving each other, and every time you turn around, you're jumping each other's bones, because this is about sex too. So relationships and sex. So you jump each other's bones every opportunity you get, but don't mess around and have a child and the honeymoon. And then the hormones change for her, but you still have that same drive.
Mm-hmm.
And now she don't want to be touched because of the pain and the agony and issues that she went through concerning the birthing of a child. Mm-hmm. The most beautiful thing in the world is the birth of a child. But now you stuck in a corner because she don't want to be touched, because her love language changed, because the hormones changed. Mm-hmm. You need somebody that's going to be able to ride with you no matter what it looks like, no matter how it feels like. At the end of the day, do you really love them, or do you just love what they do for you?
Mm. That's right. Yeah. That's good. That's really good. Mm-hmm. There's something that came through really quick. I want to post it here. James asked, with the abundance of ladies on the internet, how will you know when you have found the right one? And I'm glad he asked that, because when I looked up y'all's Instagram pages, so between the three of y'all's reach between the three of y'all is over 30,000 people. That's y'all's reach, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm already imagining with this question what y'all's DMs look like on Instagram. Y'all all in relationships, right? But it's crazy because the DMs be popping, right? With the abundance of ladies on the internet, great question, James. How will you know when you have found the right one? Dom, let's start with you.
In all honesty, even with like the internet, I don't think you should be looking for the right one on the internet. And there's nothing against online dating. I think that's amazing. But I do think that a lot of the times people on the internet aren't posting their true selves. I think authenticity is something that is absent from a lot of people on the internet. And I think that you see that, when you get a chance to meet these people face to face. So I personally did not find my one on the internet that I'm with right now. I was more of a old school meet and greet type of thing, which to me it's authenticity at its finest. Finding somebody that I can actually share time with, and I can hold a conversation with, see their flaws as well as expose my own. So I think that it is hard to kind of weed through the madness on the internet, because everybody's posting their success, nobody posts their failure. So it's hard to kind of see the authenticity on the internet. So it's tough.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, what do y'all think? I mean, I just feel like the internet, man, can just be such a distraction,
Yeah.
right? Especially like you said, Don, with the abundance of pictures. And I mean, let's just dive right into it. We're gonna go some places with the rest of the time that we have. Like how as a man, when they say don't put yourself in certain situations, right? I don't know no men that can bat 1,000, right? Or shoot perfect from the free throw line, right? I don't know any man that could do that. But at the same time, how have each of you found ways in which to always put yourself in a position where you can make the right decision, right? And maybe and I'm gonna jump out here by saying I've learned how to do that because I've messed up over the years by placing myself in the wrong places, right?
Yeah.
So I've learned by being in the wrong places how to do right. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What do you guys do, I guess, to really put yourself in a position as men in committed relationships? Because the attention comes fast, the distractions are there. I mean, all of y'all are fit. I mean, you can't even board a plane without probably getting the attention. So how do you deal with that?
I think for me, Jason, one thing that I've heard that always stuck with me is like you got to learn from mistakes, but nobody said that they have to be yours. So I make it a point to learn from other people's mistakes. And one thing that has been proven over time is that men that have gotten caught up in whether it be cheating, scandals, they always take an L, big L's, small L's, and they always tell you most of the time it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So I just look at it like, okay, if I know what I have now and I want to keep that, then I'm going to do my best to make sure that I put myself in the best position possible. So it's really just from observing, whether it be friends, whether it be people that I don't even know, stories that I've heard. We see presidents going down left and right, artists, people in Hollywood. I mean, you look all over and men are going down left and right. So I think I just look at the mistakes that are made and I just say, I know what I have and I'm going to do my best to put myself in the best position. You know what I'm saying? To not make those mistakes.
Well, like you said, Jay, nobody is perfect. Even the Bible talks about nobody is perfect. And I love what Reggie said is learning by somebody else's mistakes. I've had my fair share of mistakes. But if you really look at a lot of the things that happens in trying to keep yourself away from those mistakes, try to limit those areas and limit those places where you can make mistakes at. It's something real simple. Go home. I mean, can I just make it real simple?
Yeah.
Because mistakes are never made at home.
That's real talk. Yeah. My dad gave me this advice, man, when I was about 15, and similar to what you're saying, Lamar, like go home, like you just got to go home. He said this statement that I never forget, and it's been on my mind for years. He said, a hard dick has no conscience.
True. True.
And that thing has always sat with me because,
boy,
like we said, we put ourselves in situations where it's really hard to get out, right? But if you go home before you get to that place, you make it a lot easier. It doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect, but you do certainly make it a lot easier on yourself.
A lot easier.
Yeah,
for sure.
I like what you said.
For some reason, I sometimes I be trying not to pull out my little baby doctoral degree. I ain't got one like Jason. Jason got a real one, so I just be trying to pull my little every once in a while, because you got to look at the physical aspects of having. As Jay said, an erection, what his father said, has no conscience, which is actually pulling away your ability to make conscious decisions simply because it pulls away the blood from your brain and not allowing it to flow properly through your mind, and reduces your oxygen level. And since it reduces your oxygen level, now you're in a place where you can't think at all.
That's so true. Seriously, when you can't think, bro. I'm serious. Like when you cannot think, it's not until after you come where
That's the
all of
the most logical
Come
time
back
in
to
your life.
yeah.
you know
The
what I'm
most
saying?
logical
Like,
time is right afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
like,
say.
You come to your senses.
not even
For
minutes,
real
like,
though.
it's almost immediate. Like within seconds,
Yeah.
you can say to yourself, how did I even get here? Why am I here? How do I get out of here? Like all those questions start running through your head because you recognize that the decision you made, you probably should have made a different decision.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out how real we gonna go.
Let's go.
I'm gonna have to put a filter on there somewhere. I don't know.
Go ahead, let it rip, bro.
I don't know if the folks are gonna like me after this one. I don't know.
Hey, Shamika said, Pastor Stables, give us scientific facts. We're on it tonight. They on it. No, but I'm serious. Like it's right as soon as, and I don't know what it is for women because I'm not a woman, and so we have to have women on the show. And women who are listening, put something in the chat, comment. But for men, it's the moment after ejaculation that you recognize that the decision should have been different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why a lot of times we get caught up in a lot of situations because we're not thinking with the right head going in. And that's not an excuse. I'm not trying to make an excuse for men. I'm just trying to help women understand, like, we can make these decisions and you wonder how do we even get ourselves there?
Mm-hmm. First, because we didn't go home. That's how we got ourselves there.
Yeah.
And that's just real talk. But there's a thing that I was reading the other day when you start talking about a release. Often a release brings about a sense of remorse, especially when it's done in the wrong spirit.
Wow.
When you're connected to the wrong one.
Wow.
Now there's a sense of remorse. That whole piece, I shouldn't have done that. It shouldn't have been done that way. And now you're looking for a way out when you should have been looking for a way out before you got there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because there's always a way out. The Bible says, God will provide you He'll always provide you a way of escape. A way of escape can often be that one thing that, because we are looking forward to the erection, because we are looking forward to the excitement, we'll overlook the escape moment.
Choice.
We overlook the escape moment. So it's like, so if I can just get a little just petty, just for a moment, I can get petty for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about some of you guys, but there's some people out here that got certain fetishes. And if you see somebody with open toe shoes and something ain't necessarily right down there in the toe region, is something that ain't quite right, and then you choose to ignore it when you knew that was your way out, because that's something you're not going to have tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for that moment of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Because that don't even fit what you even like.
Wow, you going in, doctor. You going in. Wow.
So those are things that you don't even like. Those are things you're not even attracted to. However, it's the moment of excitement. Now, since we're going after the moment of excitement, I will allow that little thing. And honestly, it is a little thing. But however, it can be petty. But those petty things will cause a relationship to stall. Will cause a relationship to be dry. And what once was excitement is now painful.
That's facts, bro.
For sure.
Yeah, that's good. Shamika, I like to comment too.
Just think about this question, bro. It's like, in my opinion, man, if you slipping, you want it to be slipping.
Exactly. I think a lot of men will ride that excuse for justification to be like, oh, well, can you blame me? And it's like that moment right there, we will logically justify the decision that we made. And back to what you said before, Jay, about something that hits me, two things that I do every time, you're presented with temptation. The first thing is I use a quote that I found a long time ago, and it said, don't make a permanent decision on a temporary feeling. And it's so true, because you get caught up in things that are you in your head think is, like you said, the erection is you think in your head it's permanent. You're like, this feeling I'm right now, or being where my feet are, feels permanent. But the minute that we ejaculate, the minute we get, off, it's like that temporary feeling that we had is now a permanent decision that we've made, and we have to live with the consequences of it. The second thing I do is that I check my evolving, see where I've evolved at, and think the Dom that has evolved, would I make that decision? And I challenge myself every single time, and I pray to God that challenge is always won by the evolution of me, rather than the person that I was. And I think that we don't do that enough. We don't self-assess. We don't check ourselves, because we get so caught up in the moment, being where our feet are, that we find ourselves making those decisions that the old person made, and try to justify it with the new person. And I think that if we continuously self-reflect and self-assess, that we will find ourselves making a lot less decisions based off of temporary feeling.
Yeah. Let's shift for a second and talk about what we do when we've fallen. We've made the mistake. Now we have to fix. Now we have to fix it, right? And I think that you all gave some great points about what do you do not to go into it, but I'm just curious, like, what advice would you give when a brother's like, look, man, I've slipped or fallen, you know what I mean? But I want to get back in it. This is the person I want to be with. I want to make this right. And I think a lot of brothers are just at a loss of how to fix it, right? What advice would y'all give on how you can fix that if you've slipped and if you've fallen?
Shoot, I don't feel. I haven't gotten caught up with the cheating scenario, so I don't feel like I could give from experience answer. But I think the main thing is at least being able to show that you've changed. You know what I'm saying? Like your behaviors are different. What you used to do, you're now not choosing to do. In the future, in the present, and the future. And really, that's not even something that is not about the words. It's about the actions. And again, in holding yourself accountable as a man, I think the biggest thing is we just talked about not putting yourself in compromising positions and just thinking ahead. I look at it for me like at the end of the day, I'm a man, I'm a human being, right? I have strengths and I have weaknesses. So because I'm a strong man, right? But I do have weaknesses. There's times where I have to protect myself from myself. So literally, there's been times where I'm out with my homeboys and it gets to that certain time of the night. It's the end of the night and there's nothing else but what's next.
Right.
People smashing it. You could literally feel the sexual energy, the sexual tension. You getting the choosing eyes, like you already know what it is.
Right.
That's my cue to leave. Honestly, I try to leave a little bit before that time so I don't even get caught slipping. So I think it's like for you, like just knowing your weaknesses and just protecting yourself from yourself so that those occurrences don't happen again. But it's not more so about the words, but about the actions, because that's what it's really about.
Yeah, I agree. To kind of piggyback, I do think that it is about action. Coming from somebody, I've been in that situation, and fortunate for me, it was too late. And being in that situation where you are pleading your own case, it is probably one of the lowest points of your life that you can get as a human being. Being in there, accepting that you have fallen, and having to look, not only somebody else in the face, but look yourself in the face and admit it, and if you are trying to make a change, it is hard. And I think that a lot of the times, we say one thing, Reggie, like you were saying, and then we do another. It's like, oh, I promise I'll change, but then my actions are the same, if not worse, because, if a lot of the times men get away with it, so they go right back. It's like, the average man, in my opinion, is greedy. So it's like, if I can feed, I'm gonna feed again. And, accepting that the vulnerability is probably the key point in getting back into that relationship, is being vulnerable, showing your vulnerable sides, and showing your wounds, and trying to heal yourself so that you can heal the opposite person that you hurt. Is action. It's all action.
Yeah, John, you hit on the head when you talked about vulnerability, man, because and I've been there before when I'm having to sit in the living room on the couch, with a woman I was dating, and she found out, about some of my actions, and the tears and the distress. I fought back my ability to be vulnerable in the moment because I felt like if I gave into that, you know what I mean, then I wasn't really being the man that I was supposed to be, right?
Exactly.
And so I've learned over the years that as actions do speak louder than words, when we do mess up, we've got to be just as or even more vulnerable
Mm.
than the person that we're with, right? Because that is the way to rebuild. That is the way to repair. Because in my mind, I'm justifying why I did it.
Yeah.
And then if I'm crazy, and I was crazy at some time, but if I'm crazy, then I'm even telling the person that maybe they're the reason, they're the cause,
Yeah.
right? Which doesn't make it any better either.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? Well, if you would have did this, if you would have did that, if this would have happened, the things would have played out differently, right? If you would have wore this dress, if you would have wore those heels, if you would have wore this makeup, or whatever I would have said, right? I was placing my own insecurities onto them,
Yeah.
as opposed to being vulnerable in the moment and be like, man, I want to cry right along with you because, as Reggie said, when you look yourself in the mirror, you realize, how did I let myself get here?
Exactly.
Well, one of the things that I've seen and I've experienced and part of this recovery and rebuilding piece, first, are you willing to start over?
Mm.
True.
Is it worth the start over?
Mm.
It's worth the start over. If you have, it's like an investment. Relationships are like an investment. Is it worth leaving, or is it worth staying?
Mm-hmm.
How much time have you put in? How much have you actually invested? Is it easier to walk away, or is it easier to try to fix and rebuild and find out why? And often, fellas, what we try to do is, like Jason said, we try to put the blame off on them.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's really about our greed.
Yep.
You know, as Dom said, often about it is our greed and our inability sometimes to be satisfied.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or you can jump to the other side of that, is that since we are natural hunters,
Mm-hmm.
we've never turned off the hunt.
More is more. Yeah. More is more.
Oh,
Absolutely.
hey, Lamar, you swinging heavy, bro.
That's like 20 years right there talking.
Yeah, you swing.
Yeah.
Is that even a button? You know, where do we go find that hunt button? Seriously, like, where is that button located? Because I think a lot of brothers, man, really need to just turn that button off.
I mean, we were created that way. I mean, we were created with that that hunter's mentality. I mean, if you even go back through the whole thing about creation, how we put here what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to have dominion over all, and we're supposed to be the ruler over all. You know, that's what it says. You go all the way back to Genesis chapter number 1, chapter number 2, chapter number 3. You'll see all of those things, and because that is what is in us. Often what we'll do is that we'll stay with that and then even use that as an excuse for the actions that we do.
Mm.
Yep.
Mm.
But those are things where you have to shift. You have to turn that off, or turn that into a hunt, not for something different, but for what you have right there.
Yeah.
You turn that hunt and that hunger into that.
That's real.
That's good.
So now, with a long-standing relationship, you can't be the same all the time. It can't be the same old all the time, because now, okay, I've had this for 30 years. I've had this for 15 years. I've had the same thing. You know, just think about it. If you get up and eat the same breakfast every day, don't you get tired?
Oh, tired of it.
I can't eat Captain Crunch for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It just ain't gonna work out, you know. So it's like you have to make it. You got to spice some things up. You got to change some things up. And never lose that original hunger. The things that you did to get her, the things that she did to get you, is the same stuff that has to go right back all over again. You can't forget about the same stuff that got them. I don't care if you wasn't saved and you was in a club and you was booty bouncing, whatever you was doing at that particular time. Guess what? In your house, with your stage sanctified self, you need to put on some booty bounce music, and you're just trying to tell somebody something good for you. And, you know, you've been super holy, you're praying, you're doing all this, and the Lord is good, and all of that's wonderful. Trust me, all of that's wonderful, but he over there hungry.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. He over there hungry, and he didn't turn his hunger onto you, and now you have shifted because now you're holier than thou, and those things that you used to do when you was in the club, you don't do no more. So you're not doing the same stuff that you used. The way that you got him, you can't keep him because you're not doing the same stuff, or at least you haven't reinvented something else.
Yeah.
You better find some spice. You better figure that thing out to keep that hunger there for you and not for someone else.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, part of the game, man, that's easy for us. You know, I've learned over the years is to go find someone else, right? That's like the easy part of the game. Lamar, the hardest part of the game, which most people don't want to play, is having to reinvent ourselves to stay hungry in our own relationships. I was talking to my youngest brother today on the phone, and we were talking about playing ball. And I said, man, you ever get that feeling where the moves that you were really, really good at, no longer you're excited to do? If you cross somebody up, that doesn't excite you anymore. You shoot a three-pointer on somebody, that doesn't excite you anymore. What part of the game have you not mastered to bring you new excitement, right? And so now I'm thinking about that conversation as we talk about relationships. What part of our relationship have we not mastered? That's the part that we need to start putting more work in, as opposed to what's easy. Oh, it's easy to go out and meet somebody, you know, at a restaurant or at a club, and somebody new, somebody excited. That's easy, but the hard work, as we talked earlier, is maintaining. And I think you said this, Reggie, maintaining the relationship that we have. That's the hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love everything you're saying tonight, Jay. You know, I'm over here having a whole moment right now because, you know, you told me I could talk this time 10 years ago, and you wouldn't let me talk 10 years ago. So now I'm talking. All right, so let's get some of the things you got to do to maintain and trying to keep that there, kind of keep that hunger. What I've learned with the years of pastoral ministry I've been in, and you know, the more education that I attain, the more I read, the more I learn, the more books I pick up, the dumber I feel.
Jeez.
Because now I realize that there's more information out there. Mm-hmm. It's another commentary out there. It's another way of looking at it. You know, it's another Greek meaning to this. There's another Hebrew meaning to that. It's something else there. So the more information I attain, the lesser I feel, the more humbler I become, because I know that there is more out there, and I know I still have a ways to go to get to where I ultimately want to be. Because there's always something more. Even with relationships, there's always something more.
Yeah.
There is something that she ain't shared with you. There is something he ain't shared with you. There's something that you ain't tapped into. There's some heartstrings that you ain't played the right chord yet. You ain't hit the right note. You know, you ain't played the right Luther song. It's something that's there that you have no clue that you haven't even tapped into just yet. You just got to figure out what buttons to push and to find out what language that it is that they really want. Especially if we're gonna talk about that love languages and women are from, you know, Mars and Venus and all that other stuff. It's crazy.
Right.
It's something that's there that you really just don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the journey.
Can I piggyback off that, Jason?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead, bro.
So I believe that pursuit of the new fire with your mate really starts with pursuit of new within yourself.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
We don't want to get into a routine in our relationship. Have we gotten into a routine in our own personal lives? So we switch up whether how we're doing our workouts, what we're reading, peeling back the layers from, you know, whether it be childhood programming or like mindsets that you've had for decades. Are you peeling back on that stuff? Are you working on yourself to really grow and become a person that not just other people don't recognize, but you yourself don't even recognize? And I feel like that brings vitality to yourself because you're discovering this new person and your mate gets to witness that journey. They get to witness that discovery. That brings some fire. That brings some like, yo, who is this? Like, I love who I met, but you taking it to the next level. And I'm loving what I'm seeing. So I think that's a big part of it too, is not falling into routine with yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
That's so true.
That's good, Reggie. And I watched you and Dom, man. I mean, y'all's Instagram pages between the workouts y'all do. I don't know how y'all come up with so many workout exercises, workout positions. I mean, y'all, both of y'all, just crazy. So y'all always are reinventing ways to challenge your body to do things, right? That maybe is unconventional, maybe is different. Maybe you didn't read it nowhere. Maybe you just woke up one day and the Spirit of God just gave it to you. You said, okay, this is what I'm going to do today, right? And so I hear what you say, Reg, and I look at how you train your body. Like you're always finding ways, you know what I'm saying, to be ahead. And that's the same thing in relationships. If we as men think like that, always finding ways to be ahead, our relationships will be a lot different.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Great. I dropped a message like that last week on my business page, and the title was "Don't Let Your Routine Become Your Rut." And it's so true that we talked about this. Is that we so many times we get in a routine, and we get in a routine because it's easy and it's comfortable. But so is a rut. A rut is easy to get sunken into, and a rut is easy to get comfortable in because you don't have to do anything. So build your routine, yes. Build your structure, yes. But always change the pieces and keep it moving because if not, you will get stuck in a rut. And that's crazy. We were just talking about that, and I dropped that message last week on my business page. Yeah,
That's
man, it's
cool.
full circle.
Myself, man, thank you for that.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna throw something for all the fellas that's watching and all the ladies that's out here that's watching right now. I have to drop this out there on you. I love what both of you guys are saying about don't allow your routine to become your rut. You know, you got to change some things up and all of that. And yes, you do have to change some stuff up. But then you have to still make sure that they're going to still love you after you've changed. That's another aspect to it as well. So don't change too quickly. Just kind of walk it slow. You got to walk. You got to walk change. You got to walk that whole slow. You know, there was a time, and Jason, to tell you fellas, man, I was almost 297, 98 pounds at one point. Big old fluffy fella. My daughter ran up on me one time and said, "Dad, ooh, you so fluffy." And I said, "Lord, I got to make some changes in my life." And the changes I started making, now I'm all the way down to 211. So I dropped a solid 80.
Wow.
Good.
I mean, it didn't take too much time. I dropped a solid 80. But now I'm being looked at differently than I was before. At one point, I was looked at, "Oh, you so handsome," and this is what I'm getting. "Oh, you handsome, you handsome, you handsome," but you thick though.
Right.
You're a little thick, you're a little thick though. And now it's, "Oh, you handsome, you handsome, you handsome," but you too skinny. So you kind of gotta, gauge it, watch it, kind of, take your time with it. So it's not it's not a culture shock, because sometimes a culture shock could change the way somebody feels about you in a whole relationship. One of the things that I teach when I'm doing marriage counseling, and it's been a blessing to be able to do some of those things. One of the biggest things that I show them, and I say, fall in love with their faults, because everybody can like and love the successes. That's easy to fall in love with, but can you fall in love with their faults?
That's right.
If you can do that, you can make anything work.
Yes, man. Speaking of faults and characteristics, this is a question, and this will be our last question. I realize we're right at time. We're gonna have to do a part 2 of this, man, because the comments are coming crazy. I'm on 3 different broadcasts between Facebook and YouTube and the website. Like, there's just so many folks plugged in. So I just appreciate y'all gentlemen just sharing the message tonight about today's show. But the question, that I often wonder about men, women are often asked what they are looking for in a mate, what they're looking for in a partner. Rarely do I hear men talk about what they desire, right? And so I want to hear, what is it that you desire? What was it that was important to you? What were your non-negotiables?
Who won first?
We're gonna kick it off.
I think 20 years need to go first, man. I think the 20-year vet need to go ahead and set the tone for us real quick.
Lord have mercy. Well,
when I think non-negotiables, some of them could be superficial that you've changed over time, because I was a big Boomerang, Marcus Graham, Eddie Murphy fan, and you know, feet. Feet was huge for me. Huge. And Lamar, you mentioned it earlier. Like if the feet was jacked up, I couldn't, right? But that's a superficial non-negotiable. But I think that in jest we can say those things. But what are some of our like real life non-negotiables, like we cannot budge or back away from?
Let me drop this. You have to understand that in time and in age, your bodies will change.
Mm-hmm.
Like that thing that Jay talk about, that non-negotiable, pull the sheets back and toes right there. All of that can change at the blink of an eye. An accident could happen, and all of that could completely be wiped out. You know, a sickness, a cancer, or something like that show up, and all that superficial things, that's out the window. My biggest thing that I've had and I've always pushed, and is my non-negotiable, is support. Can you push my dream? Can you push me to achieve my dream?
Wow.
Everything else, have a baby. That six pack gone. Y'all understand what I'm saying? That six pack gone. Have a baby. That six pack gone. It's hard to get back now. Have another baby. It's harder to get back after that. Yeah, all that stuff is, some of those things, that's superficial. But
that's good. I like that.
Support my dream.
Support my dreams. That's heavy.
Can you push? How about this one? Can you push what God gave me to do? Can you help me in my assignment? If you can help me in my assignment, that's more attractive to me than anything else. That's right there. That's my breaking point.
Yeah, it's good. Reggie, go next. I know, Reggie, you got to jump, man. You got another call.
Bro, I mean, he hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
From the beginning, keep it 100 with you, off the rip, you had to be banging. That's what got you in the door. I gotta love what I see. I can't just like it, I gotta love it. Right. And I know it's gonna fade, but I gotta enjoy it before it fades. Right. Number two, what I realized was good character, how they treat people, how they treat me, just being a good person on the inside. I remember going on a date with back in the day, fine young lady, fine. And I remember something happened, somebody cut her off in traffic, and she had been polite the whole night. I'm like, man, this is a real nice girl. This person cuts her off. She's cursing them out. She's calling them racial slurs, and I'm like, yo, who is this? And I'm like, okay, this is showing me your character. Like, you went from this person to this person. And I realized how people, how they treat me, how they treat themselves was paramount. But what he said to really finish what Lamar said was right on the money, because I remember my best man said it at our wedding, where he asked me, you know, what is it about your wife that helped you to know that she was the one? And I told him, man, she just makes me better. Like, she literally didn't allow me to stay complacent. Like, everybody around me will tell me that I'm great, and she's like, nah, you cool, but you could do better here. And she doesn't even have to say it a lot of times. It's just, she just pushes me to be better. She doesn't allow me to stay comfortable. And that does push me towards my purpose, like Lamar talked about. And as a man, that's such a powerful thing that you can have in your life, especially the person that you're going to spend your life with. So I totally agree.
Yeah. Reggie, I know you got to jump, brother. We got to do a part 2.
Let's do it, bro.
Okay. Thanks for being on.
Let's get it. Appreciate y'all.
All right, Reggie, good seeing you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, Don, what is it for you, man?
Definitely. Superficially, I'm a big active person, and I love fitness with my life. So being active is a huge thing for me. Obviously, what comes to that are tons of benefits with body and mind, mental health. That all comes with it. But like Lamar was saying, those things do fade. For me, the support thing was huge. When Lamar said that, it definitely it woke something up in me that's something that I genuinely seek. Another thing that I seek is a woman with intention, and it's not not a woman with a hidden agenda that is trying to take something from me. I think in a lot of my past relationships that I was in, you know, even at a young age, a lot of people would come into my life. You know, Jay, you can attest to the Dixon family. A lot of people would take from us and take.
That's right.
And you know, up until recently, I've been in a relationship where I'm giving more than I could ask for at the time. And it's with intention, you know, and she truly gives me an intention with support. It is not just, you know, support me that so she can look good. She wants to support me so she can step back and appreciate what I've become and what I'm becoming. And I think that that's something that's a lot of times missed in a lot of relationships, is because of so many times we look at people and say, what can I get from that person? What can they give me? And, you know, being that is normal as a human to be selfish in some aspects, but being in a relationship with somebody who can see that as well as be like, all right, well, this is what I can give them as well as what I get from them. I'm trying to match what I get. And I think with intention, you only get that, you know, with somebody who has an intention for you is giving what they can also take. And I think that's huge for me. Something that is a non-negotiable is one with intention and support.
Yeah, that's good. But hey, before we wrap up, I just want to share really quickly, again, just a sponsor for this evening. We appreciate Nicola Davis for your sponsoring tonight's show. Those who are still watching, those who will replay this throughout the week, use the code OVIA, Our Village in Action, for the exclusive Skin Whip body butter. Amazing body butter. I've got 5 different fragrances at the house, and all of our guests will receive these tonight. So Nicola Davis, appreciate you sponsoring the show tonight. Gentlemen, we're going to have to do a part 2 because there's hundreds of comments that I did not even touch. People are asking about what's your opinion on WAP, that new song that's out.
Yeah.
People are talking about.
I don't even know nothing about it. Y'all get me lost.
People asking questions about marriage. People asking questions about alternative relationships, such as you know, bringing an additional partner to the bedroom. There's just so many questions here about relationships, and really just from the perspective of a black male.
Man, when we doing part 2, because I got people over here in the little watch party I got going on too, man, asking me talking about part 2.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm ready, man.
Let's do. We just do it like this. I've announced it live. I didn't even put together next week. Kirsten just said, yeah, let's do a part 2. Cool. Let's just do it next week. Same time, 8:00 Tuesday next week. Let's go into part 2, and I think that folks really want to see kind of a continuation of kind of where we left off, but then dive into some of these other questions about alternative relationships and then marriage. So we'll probably can spend a whole hour on that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah, that's real easy.
Yeah, y'all good for next Tuesday at 8?
Just lock it in, man. Let's go for it. Let's have some fun.
Let's do it, man. I've been on 3 different broadcasts. I've been looking at like how the viewership has been. Hundreds and hundreds of folks have been on tonight, man. And I think the discussion has just been great. I'll create a new flyer. I'll send it out to each of you. Let's jump on a call next week, man. Do it again.
Yeah.
All right, let's make it. Hey, man, if I can drop this last little piece.
Yeah. Drop that before you leave. Go ahead, both of you.
Let me drop this last little piece, bro. It takes support for me, but on the flip side, we have to support them just as much as they support us.
That's good.
That's
good.
If you want a relationship to work,
you
have to support them just as much as you want them to support you.
That's good.
Indeed.
If you can push their dreams as much as they're pushing your dreams, it goes back and forth. It's never one-sided.
Yeah. That's good, Lamar. I had a brother whose wife took a dream job in the middle of the United States, and he was in Florida at the time, and he was like, cool, we just packing up, you know, I'm following you. And I think a lot of men would have looked at that as being kind of a weak move, but it was a power move.
Right.
I'm in that same position right now.
To your point, we have to support just as much as we're being supported. It's not about us. It's not about them. It's not about me. It's about us, right? How can this decision benefit us? And even if it means we have to make the move, right? Nothing's wrong with that.
Man, I'm living that right now. I'm moving at the end of this month for that same exact reason, man. For a move for us.
Yeah.
So I support for sure.
I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we actually have, like inside of relationships, is that can you support her as much as she supports you?
Mm-hmm.
So you lose your job, can she hold the house down?
Exactly.
And that's big right there. If you lose your job as the man, as the provider, as the leader of the house, if he loses his job or decides to make a transition, are you as the female partner in this able to hold down the household and vice versa? If she loses hers or decides she don't want to work no more, can you completely hold it down by yourself?
Exactly.
Support them as much as you want to be supported.
That's good. Like that, Lamar. Final words, Dom, until we jump on next week.
Man, I'm excited. This is lighting a flame in me, man. I've been seeking some mentorship and some word, man. This is what I needed. So I'm ready for part 2. I'm anxious.
Yeah. Good. I'm excited too, man. So I'll send out a new flyer. I'll put some new questions, out there for all of you to kind of look over by next week. But let's continue to push it, man. It was great tonight. It'll be even better next week. I see.
Sure.
I see Mom Dixon is on. Hey, Ma. Good to see you.
Mama D.
Yeah, Mom Dixon is on. I see my mom on earlier.
Yeah.
A lot of folks I seen from the Temple of Praise is on here tonight too, man. So yeah, just a lot of love that was shown tonight. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week, same time, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll all be back talking about this.
Let's make it work.
All right, fellas. Peace.
Yeah.